In this video, we're going to have a look at dividing fractions. To do this, we're going to use the KFC method. KFC stands for keep, flip, and change. And I'll explain exactly how to apply this in a second. Let's have a look at some examples. My first question asked me to work out 1/7 divided by 3/4. To do this, I'm going to keep my first fraction the same, so that's 1/7. I'm going to flip my second fraction over, so that means 3/4 becomes 4/3. And I'm going to change my divide sign to a times sign. This means that I need to work out 1/7 times by 4/3. Whilst the KFC method hasn't given me a final answer, it has changed the question so it's in an easier form to work out. To multiply two fractions, we need to times the top two numbers and the bottom two numbers together. That means on the top we get 1 times 4, which is 4, and on the bottom 7 times 3, which is 21. That means that my final answer is 4/21. We can do the same thing in my second example, which is 3/8 divided by 2/3. Firstly, I need to keep the first fraction the same, that's 3/8. Next, I need to flip the second fraction over. That means that 2/3 is going to become 3/2. And finally, I need to change the divide to a times, which means my calculation has changed to 3/8 times by 3/2. We can work this out by timesing the top numbers and the bottom numbers together. So on the top we get 3 times 3, which is 9, and on the bottom we get 8 times 2, which is 16. That means my final answer is 9/16. My last two questions are a little bit more difficult because they need to be simplified at the end. In my third example, I'm going to show you how we can simplify. And in the last example, I'm going to show you a shortcut to look out for to make simplifying your fractions a little bit easier some of the time. So, for my third example, I need to work out 4/5 divided by 6/7. I'm going to start off by keeping my first fraction the same, so that's 4/5. Next, I need to flip my second fraction over. This means that 6/7 is going to become 7/6. And finally, I need to change the divide into a times. So I need to work out 4/5 times by 7/6. To do this, I'm going to times the top two numbers together and the bottom two numbers together. Meaning on the top, I get 4 times 7, which is 28. And on the bottom, I get 5 times 6, which is 30. Now, this answer can be simplified by dividing the top and the bottom of my fraction by 2. On the top, 28 divided by 2 is 14, and on the bottom, 30 divided by 2 is 15. So my final answer is 14/15. My last question asked me to work out 5/9 divided by 5/8. To start off, I need to keep the first fraction the same, so that's 5/9. Next, I need to flip the second fraction over. That means that 5/8 becomes 8/5. And lastly, I need to change the divide into a times sign. This means that I need to work out 5/9 times by 8/5. Now, I can go through the process of multiplying the top and multiplying the bottom and then simplifying my answer at the very end. But like I said, there is a shortcut to work this one out. Because there is a 5 on the top and the bottom of my two fractions, I can cancel it out. So that's a 5 from the top and a 5 from the bottom. It doesn't matter that the 5 appears on different fractions. In fact, it works for any number as long as they're the same. You just need to make sure that one is on the top and the other is on the bottom. Now, because we've cancelled the 5's out, that means that my final answer is 8/9.